So this video is for all you Tradestation users. I'm going to walk through actually placing an option trade after you receive instructions from Tom Gentile in Tradestation. So let's look at how we do it. All right, so let's dive in and actually place an options trade using Tom's instructions on Tradestation. I recommend Tradestation for most people simply because it only requires $500 to open a Tradestation account, which is more manageable for most people. That's not money that you lose. You can always transfer it right back to your bank account if you wish. I primarily use Schwab, and the reason is that any money that's in my Schwab account actually earns interest. It's one of the few online brokerage accounts that does that for you. The downside is that Schwab requires a $2,000 minimum balance in that brokerage account in order for you to have the account. So that isn't really attainable for a lot of people. So we recommend Tradestation just because it's a little bit less money. So let's walk through what you're actually going to do when you get an alert. And there's a couple different ways that you can get the alerts from Tom. One is email and one is text. If you're logged into your Fast Fortune Club account and you go to the More tab over here, you'll see subscribe to text alerts. I am subscribed, so every time an alert goes out, I do get a text message, and then I also get an email just like this. And all of the alert emails start with action to take, and it tells you what kind of the trade, and then the ticker symbol, and then the exact instructions, and then the exit strategy, which is obviously further down the road. Sometimes this strategy will change along the way, and Tom will send another alert out telling you that the strategy has changed. But for now, this is the plan. This is an interesting one. We may talk a little bit at the end of this video where the strategy actually did change within hours of this alert going out, which is very unusual, but it did happen. So let's walk through. The other place you can see your alerts is obviously when you come in here and click on alerts, and we'll go to that. And usually it's at the top of the list. It's been a few days since this alert came out, so I'm going to go back to this. So here's the alert for Chipotle Mexican Grill last week, or earlier this week actually. I'm going to slide this over here so we can look at both our instructions here and at our Tradestation account. So I'm going to go ahead and log into my Tradestation account. I believe I do have some money in there, but I'm probably not going to place this trade because we're past the point where you'd want to do that. And you can see they have a couple different things here. Client Center is where you kind of set up your billing and how to transfer money to and from your bank account. Web Trading Live and Web Trading Simulator. So the simulator is cool because you can actually come in here and play around and practice trades and things like that, see how they perform, and it doesn't use any real money. So if you're really unsure about what you're doing, you can always go in there and play around. So we're going to log into the live system here. And the first time I logged in here, I'll be the first to admit I was completely lost. Tradestation's a little more confusing than the Schwab platform in some ways. In some ways it's not. But once you figure out how to use this, it's actually pretty simple and you can navigate around pretty quickly. What I did the first time I actually did an options trade is I contacted their live support up here. They have phone support and then live chat. And I actually contacted them and say, hey, here's the instructions I received. How do I do this? And they walked me right through it. So that was very helpful the first time around. So let's go ahead and actually try and execute this options trade. I might stumble a little bit, so hopefully I don't make a mess of this. So we're gonna follow the instructions. Buy to open, and first of all, this is for Chipotle Mexican Grill. The ticker symbol is CMG. So we're gonna come down. You can see your positions here, your orders, your balances. We're going to be placing an order. It'll jump over to this once we start playing with the options chain here, but make sure the option chain is open in the bottom. I think you can choose it from the settings here if it doesn't show up, but it should show up. And we're going to do CMG Chipotle Mexican Grill, and we're going to select it here from our list. And this is going to show all the option calls and puts available. Now, first thing I want to point out is that it defaults to only showing you 10, and a lot of times you'll have a strike price given. And this 880 here is the strike price. He'll give a strike price that you don't see here, and the reason is it's just not showing up. It's not displaying enough. So I always set this to 20 or 30, and this should show more strike prices available here. So what we're going to do is follow the instructions. We've got two different options. We're going to do a buy to open and a sell to open. So buy to open, the March 13th 870 call. So here's our calls and our puts. So first thing we want to do is look at the expiration date here. And he says we want to do the March 13th 2020. So we look here, this grayed out dates, and here's March 13th. Click on that, and it should change this display to the proper numbers. So we're going to buy to open the March 13th call. So at the 870 strike price. So we scroll down here. Here's our 870. We're going to click on that, and it puts it up into our options or up here. If you accidentally click on the wrong part of this, it may change this to sell to open, or it may change it to one of these other sides. Just come up here to the drop down and change it to the one that you need. So we want buy to open. Quantity is 1. So this is the number of options that you're choosing. And again, it just depends on how much money you want to put in as far as how many options you choose. But I just stick with 1 for now. And then we double check. We've got 870. And there's our call, and we come down here. We want to look at the order type. It's a limit order, limit price. So he says pay no more than $3.70. So here's where you're going to enter that. So $3.70. Route, just leave it as intelligence. Duration. So this is kind of important. If you select day, what that basically means is if this option isn't picked up by the end of today, then it's going to be canceled. And it'll go away, and you won't have risked any money. Basically, you're entering this option order, and then someone has to pick up that order. That's my simplistic way of explaining it. So Tom says, where does he say? Enter is good till canceled through February 13th. Now, Tradestation doesn't let you enter a specific day, but you do have to change this to GTC, which is good till canceled. And then if this isn't picked up by February 13th, you need to come in here and cancel the order, which is very simple to do. But I haven't had any that haven't been picked up. Now, one reason it might not get picked up is if you waited too long to get in on this trade. These actions alerts are very time sensitive because the market fluctuates so much. And this was a very strange action alert because Tom actually sent another one hours after this because the market had changed so much. And he had everybody that took action on this early actually took a massive profit grab the exact same day on February 6th that this came out. I might talk a little bit about that at the end. But so most of the time you want to enter these options trades very quickly. You want to do it within 24 hours at the latest. If it's longer than that, then you really need to look at market conditions, or I would just tell anybody that's new to this to just skip it and wait till the next one. Okay, so now we want to do the second part of this, which is the sell to open the March 13th 880 call. So we want to come down to, and again, we're doing the calls here. He would say put if we were doing the put, so make sure you're picking the right one. So we're going to do the 880, and we want to sell to open, and it should pop it right up here. So you'll see sell to open March 13th, 880 call, pay no more than 370. And up at the top here, once you have these in place, it should show you your maximum profit and your maximum loss. So our maximum loss is $370, which is what it's going to cost us to purchase this option. This is one of the most expensive ones that Tom's actually ever recommended. Most of them are between $150 and $300. And again, if you change the number of positions here, if we change this to 2 positions, then or 2 options, then we're doubling, the amount it's going to cost us to get in, but we're also increasing the possible potential profit. So again, if you're new to this, I would stick with one of the lower amounts. If $370 scares you, I would, wait till there's a different trade given that maybe is a little bit less cost. So once this looks all good, you'll know if something's wrong if you look at the max loss and it shows like $87,000 or something. That means you selected something wrong. So just cancel these out and start over. And again, if you get really stuck, use the live chat support here. I'm not an expert of with Tradestation. I know how to use it for the most part. You can always comment after this video and I will try and answer your questions as well, or message the page on Facebook, the Wealth Builder page, and I will try and answer your questions there as well. So once this is all set, you're going to click on Send Orders. It's going to give you a confirmation here, max profit, maximum potential loss if the whole thing went south. And again, Tom does a very good job. If things aren't performing well, he'll have us get out early. So I have not had a single trade with Tom where we've lost everything that we put in. I want to reiterate that. I have not had a single trade where we've lost everything. It's always been a portion. I think the most I've lost on a trade is like $80, or maybe it was 120. Yeah, it was 120, sorry. The first loss I had on a trade was 80, and then we had one last fall that I lost 120 on. And part of that was I waited too long to act on his instructions to get out. So again, everything's time sensitive. So I encourage you to sign up for those text message alerts because you need to act on this. Tradestation does have a mobile app. I don't particularly like it, but it is helpful for closing out of positions that you are in. I don't really like it for trying to enter new options trades. It's a little bit confusing to use the app to me. But anyway, so if we hit send here, that's going to send the order in, and then you wait for it to get filled. I'm not going to do this right now because I'm so far past the February 6th date, and I already did this in my Schwab account. So that is basically how you use Tradestation. And there are times when he has more complex options trades come through. I think I've only had one or two of those in the past year, so it's not very often. But he will tell you in the instructions if it's a special kind of trade, and then you may have to contact Tradestation to get specific instructions on how to do that, or go into the simulated platform here, not the live one. Go to simulated and play around and see if you can figure out how to do it. But again, once you do this a couple of times, it's not that hard. It really isn't. But the first time you come in here, this is very confusing, which I fully understand. So if you have any questions, message Wealth Builder on Facebook or comment after this video, and I will do my best to answer. Thanks a lot. Bye.